I'm checking out LEGO 2K Drive, a game I'm super duper excited to share with you all, as I've been playing it a bunch already. It's due to be released in May, and the guys over at 2K wanted me to check it out early, so massive thanks to them for sponsoring this video. So to catch you up, if you aren't already aware what this is, the game is an open world exploration and racing game packed full of story, challenges and competition. You're able to drive absolutely anywhere on the maps, around any of the multiple biomes that the game has, meet lots of different characters along the way, and even race a few of them. One of the main goals being to race in the coveted Sky Trophy Cup. The game is obviously for kids, teenagers and adults alike, with all the LEGO fun we all know and love. So there's no treading on LEGO pieces left on the floor, because I know we've all done that. And it hurts. I kid, but honestly, this game has been something I've absolutely had to try and take myself away from, because I may or may not already have 8 hours in the game before this video even started. I just get totally lost in checking out all the different characters and quests along the way, and let me tell you, there is so much of that, there's just unlimited things to do, it feels like. But anyway, let's get to the point of today's video. You guys that know my normal Minecraft content know that I am a builder at heart. It's the thing I go back to time and time again, and of course LEGO is something I've grown up with, as I'm sure a lot of us have. And luckily for me and you guys, LEGO 2K Drive allows you to do just that. You're able to put LEGO pieces together and build vehicles in the game. Yes, you heard that correct. You can build absolutely any vehicle you like with all the pieces they give you in the game, and there's 3 different vehicles in total. So let me quickly show you the 3 basic ones you start with in the game. You get this pretty sleek looking convertible sports coupe, perfect for all smooth roads. An off-road vehicle, the 4x4 Dynamo, for anything but roads. So all the dirt, sand and grass you come across are absolutely no problem in the game at all. And of course a boat too, this sharp looking lake cruiser, because the maps do include a good amount of water as well. You do actually unlock different vehicles throughout the game, but the garage is unlocked completely from the beginning, so you don't even have to wait to be able to create your own vehicles. You can do that straight away. So if this vehicle isn't great for you, you can even just go in and change the colors and make it suit you a little bit better, which is really, really cool. So like I mentioned, 3 different vehicles in the game, and all are super duper important, because you're actually going to be switching back and forth between them all throughout the game. When you're exploring the world, doing the races and the quests, just every part of the game you're going to be swapping back and forth, and the mechanic for this is actually super, super cool. So they did a great job on that one. They even have an area where you'll be able to share your builds with others and download creations that others have made, which is really amazing, because I'm going to be looking forward to seeing what everyone creates in the game. I'm sure there's going to be some wacky, absolutely crazy builds going on. And it'll be a great place to find inspiration for your own builds, so it's going to be a great creative garage area. I'm not sure what to call it, it's just a ball of creativity. It's going to be great. And honestly, with the sheer amount of blocks you get just at the beginning, the possibilities are pretty endless. You can create pretty much whatever you put your mind to, which is pretty amazing. So with this being part of the game and perfectly suited to the content that I already make, 2K wanted me to test out my creativity and make some of the vehicles my own. So wish me luck. So they gave me 3 different themes to work with: luxury, animals and nature. And I did kind of stretch these a little bit, but managed to come up with some cool ideas that I'll be able to update in the future as I unlock new items. So with that, we'll start with the streetcar. So it's very easy to just go into the garage and click what vehicle you want. You get a choice of different bases where the wheels are different or the structure is different. This one, for example, I chose the much longer vehicle because I thought that would be kind of more sports car, because the base car is a little bit classic and I wanted to go a little bit funky. So we went a little bit wild with this one. And so I started off with this base and then was basically just trying to, because this was my first vehicle I made, just get to grips with the blocks that you get given. Because you get kind of a crazy amount of them. You of course get the normal block types, the ones we all just know, the classic Lego block. And I thought I would just sort of try and build up a bit of a structure, but because I wanted this to feel quite slick and smooth, I didn't want to build up too much of a car, because I didn't want it to be too chunky. That was my main worry here. And so I decided to start off with the front of it with a kind of quite spaceship design. This was almost very much a space theme a little bit. And I wanted to try and make sure I got the seat in there pretty importantly, because I like the idea that you can have your little character sit in there. You also don't need that. You can actually skip the seat and the character, but because that kind of is quite fun and quite cute to build around and it makes sense, that's what I went with. And then I wanted to try and find a good sort of grille for the front, or hood, I guess it's called in the game. And yeah, it was quite difficult to find one to the right scale because I kind of didn't really think about that part. Definitely I would get to grips with what blocks you have available first. That's definitely some advice I have for you if you're going to build in this game. But I did eventually find one that I quite liked and thought I could work around that quite well. And then it was a case of trying to add some sort of windscreen. Didn't necessarily need one, but I really like those because when you get to the paint section a little bit later, yes, you can color and paint and have different clear things and different glowing blocks. It means you can have things like windscreens and things that are sort of see-through, which is really, really cool. But I decided to build this basically all white, and I did this for all of them just because it was easier to see the shape that I was creating over the color. So I'd also recommend doing that first. Focus on the shape, color afterwards, or just do it however you find easiest, I guess. So in the middle of this build, I did kind of get a little bit confused, and I wanted to use certain things and try to sort of sticking them in places that maybe they didn't necessarily work. But I think I sort of ended up tweaking this okay in the end. I kind of wanted this sort of open feel just underneath the hood of the car, under the windscreen. But definitely the idea of putting clear bricks or glowing bricks in those sort of areas where you can sort of see them glow if you look at the vehicle a certain way is a really fun aspect for me. And then I found this really, really cool back end of the car with trying to use an archway to sort of replicate the arch above the tires. And I kind of like how that looked. But yeah, for my first vehicle, this wasn't too bad of a shout. And as you can see, once I add that windscreen in clear, it really makes all the difference. So yeah, it's really good to keep that in mind when you're starting out. And yeah, I guess I would say this isn't so much luxury, more space. They do actually look a little bit like they're from space, like in an astronaut outfit. So kind of works out. But then I got to playing around with colors. And as you can see, I'm playing around with the glowing effect. You can also use clear bricks. You can also do metallic and flat color as well, which is really nice. And so you can actually come up with some really cool combinations. I tried to make this feel a bit more luxury with the sort of gold and silver aspect. Don't know if I quite, pulled it off, but yeah, I think this maybe would have looked better with white and red color scheme, but this is where I went. And so another thing you can do is you unlock stickers as you play the game, and you can place these all along the vehicle wherever you fancy, and also change the scale of it, which is pretty cool. And so I tried using those a little bit close up to give me some sort of stripes and things like that. And that really worked well because it brought in this red accent that looks really, really cool. That yellow and black sort of stripe is kind of giving me caution, watch out, which I mean is not a bad thing. Watch out, other vehicles on the road, I am coming through. But yeah, very, very cool looking vehicle, and it rides pretty well out in the test drive area of the game. So hopefully this will do me pretty well for at least a little while before I upgrade it, because I'm going to want to upgrade it at some point. I mean, this thing did drift pretty good. It was pretty fun to drift, having such a long vehicle. I do kind of, I would recommend trying a long vehicle out for the drifting. It's somehow more fun, I guess. Although I do quite enjoy the little tiny baby car that you get early on as well. That is quite fun to drift too. So yeah, I mean, just drifting in general in the game is really fun. Okay, so I know what we're thinking. Okay, pretty average vehicle, pretty good, pretty slick, but nothing too crazy. This is where the second one came in. So we had the theme animal, and my plan originally was to build a alligator head or a crocodile head, like when it comes out of the water and it's sort of just on the water. I was like, oh, I'll make that shape and like add a little eye with the archway. It didn't exactly go to plan. But I do believe I came up with something better, and it was still animal themed. So this one was a little bit more difficult just because I had to actually go with the fan boat hydro as the starter, something low and flat for this, which is really great that they had the option because it means you can build that much lower boat. But you can see that I instantly get out these little cover bricks that are little spiky things that look like teeth, and that is what I started with. I thought those are going to work great for little spiky teeth, and here comes the trouble. I ended up instead with sort of more of a mouth. And I was like, okay, great, we can do an alligator head, but with a mouth. And for some reason, I wasn't able to quite get the shape correct. I sort of went back and forth with different bricks, trying different things. And it wasn't quite going to my liking. There's definitely something here, and I probably will be able to recreate this now once I've gone through this. But yeah, I'm sure there's something I'm completely missing that I could have done. But anyway, it turned out okay in the end. Because once I was happy with the sort of mouth shape, roughly, I decided to start adding where the little guy would sit. I wanted them to sit right in the center and be quite high up, sort of where the eye is, which is why the archways came in. They look really great as an eye, I can't lie. And then I kind of had to make the back of it look just more like a boat. I don't really know how to explain it, but it ended up looking kind of cool. I ended up sort of flattening the mouth a little bit more, but I realized that actually instead of an alligator, this was looking a bit more like a shark. And so that's the theme that I actually ended up going with. So it is still an animal, there is still a mouth there, and an eyeball, and it is still an underwater creature. I thought that made sense for doing the boat. And ultimately, I was pretty happy with it. Again, I will say that the color brought it to life using this sort of metallic gray throughout, and then bringing in some blue to bring in some of the sort of ocean vibes. And then I really wanted to make things pop with the white accents, you know, of the teeth. And I did try sort of the seat being white because you could sort of see that through the eyeball, and it kind of made sort of a bit more contrast there. And then I did try and put different things on the back. I think I ultimately went with a bit of a spoiler sort of thing at the back, just to make it look more sort of speedboatish rather than sort of a general lazy day river cruiser. But I also tried to have some fun here. I was trying to mess around with some of the accessories that I had. I had this sort of like fan, which I wanted to try and put in the center, but because I haven't built this odd, I built this even. In number, I sort of had to put 2 on the back, but I actually think that looked a lot better ultimately in the end. And I feel like it gave it quite a, I don't know, quite a cool look actually. I'm really, really glad I added those at the back. It was that little extra detail that just sort of really elevated the design for me at least. I then decided that I needed a little bit more color. It felt like my other build wasn't very colorful, so I wanted to add some more color with those little tube things at the side. That and the tongue doesn't help. I think the tongue looks pretty hilarious, I can't lie. And then of course I had to test drive it, and honestly I was pretty impressed by it. I think it looks really, really cool in the water, and it wasn't a bad ride at all. So I think I won this one. This might have been my favorite and probably the best overall. And the last one is not quite saving the best to last, but it's definitely something that I'm going to come back to and try and improve. That's my most improvement one, so let's get to that one next. So this was the last one, and I went with nature because it's an off-road vehicle and nature kind of made sense. Now with the bricks I had, I wouldn't say that I could make what I wanted to. I probably could have, but I couldn't quite figure it out in my head, and the trial and error wasn't really working. So my first attempt at this wasn't great. I wanted to create a flower pot, so I had to go with a different design, and this is where maybe nature doesn't really work that well, but I went with tractor, and I wanted the really big tires and the really, really big vehicle base, and it worked really well at the start. I feel like I lost it somewhere along the line, so feel free to let me know what you would change down in the comments below. But the grille kind of worked at the front, the sort of tallness. I definitely had to build this one up more than any other vehicle. And that's actually quite a challenge, at least for me it was. Trying to build it up and get things to the right height, it was quite challenging. Again, building it all white to get the shape correct. I had a little photo up on my second screen of a tractor so I could just copy the shape, kinda. I stopped looking at it at one point. You could probably tell. But I also wanted this to like work as a racing vehicle. So I tweaked where the chair would go a bunch. Again, wanted the character in there sitting down. And ultimately, it didn't end up being the worst thing in the world. I struggled a little bit with the sort of staircase up into the vehicle. Maybe there's a better way of doing that, but my trial and error didn't really quite work. Again, bringing the archways in. Really seem to love those. I think they work really well as like a doorway or like a window. You could definitely come up with some sort of more ancient Greek kind of vibes with those archways. I feel like having some sort of historic looking cars, that could be pretty cool. But yeah, the tractor is what we went with. And of course I had to do a classic cream color because why wouldn't you? And I decided to try and bring in some accents. with yellow because the flag was yellow. I don't think I could have changed the color of the flag, so we went with that and it worked out quite well. And then I added some brown just to make it feel a little bit dirtier, and some stickers of course too, because that just brought in a little bit of the red. I feel like having a 3-color scheme is like minimum for me at least, and I did fix the little issue I had at the bottom there where you can sort of see that I did a couple bits green that you can see from the outside. That was my bad. But generally speaking, the off-terrain vehicles definitely work a little bit better being lower and smaller, in my opinion, or at least I feel more comfortable driving them. But I'll probably get used to it a little bit more. It's not too top-heavy, but it's definitely, I feel like, the vehicle that you can have the most fun with because of the scale. So definitely one that I'm going to be building in the future some more of. And yeah, I'm excited to see what people come up with for these. So even though you can't get your hands on the game already, I'd love to know your ideas and themes below, and I might even just off camera just have some fun with some of those and show you guys all in the future what I have come up with. So yeah, what do you think? Let me know down below which one was your favourite out of the 3. We have the sports car, we have the off-road vehicle and the boat. Let me know in the comments, I'd love to know, and hopefully I did okay. And one other cool thing that I didn't even really touch on is that you can actually tweak the vehicle stats for those that want to get into it a little bit more, allowing you to tweak not only the speed, the acceleration, handling, but also the health, melee, and weight of the vehicle, all of which will affect how it moves around the map. So what do you think? Let me know below in the comments. Check out the game, the link will be below, as well as their LEGO 2K Hub YouTube channel, which will show even more of the game if you want to check it out. But that's it for me. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.